It's been 6 years. 6 years of waiting for that perfect gameplay. But apparently that gameplay wasn't good at all. Blue Protocol. Everybody. We have been waiting for 6 years, and in those 6 years, we got a region-locked game that apparently was super shit and dry of content. I never played the actual game because I was waiting for the global release, but I've been hearing it was just not that good. It eventually got shut down. But Blue Protocol Star Resonance is announcing a release this year, which is amazing. From first, my first thought about this was there are three feelings about this from people. One, they're hyped, they're excited about it. Two, they're like, I don't know, I think it'll be shit. And three is just in between. I feel like I'm more in between, where it's like, this is exciting, but I'm nervous about it because, I mean, I don't want to have that same feeling come back and then be let down, you know. But I'm hearing that it's good. I see thumbnails. That's a good source of information. Yeah, sure. No, but I hear other people say that this is way better than the original Protocol. But anyway, here we go. And I missed the beta. There was a fucking beta, and I didn't even know. This
is not a sponsored video. You guys know
Good.
I did quite a few of those, and oftentimes game companies will reach out to me and they'll be like, "Hey, can you make a video on our game?" And then I'll look at it, I'll talk about it, whatever. This is just news, though, and this is something I've been so excited about for such a long time. In fact, probably more creators than just me are excited, and you will be hearing from them very soon. Because
dude,
Blue
I'm sure millions of people are excited about this. They're ready. They're hyped.
Star Resonance just got announced.
Yeah, I remember going from one Discord server to the next to gather as much information as I could. Leaks, fucking data mines and shit, and just general news about the game, what's happening with it currently. And I was scraping out walls sometimes because I was already getting as much as I could and nothing else was available. But I was like fiending to know more about this shit. One YouTuber I watched back then was named, he's still called Styx, and he does a lot of MMO gameplay, and I recommend his channel if you want to do more news on MMOs, what's going on currently with MMOs, and like what's something you can look out for. His channel is good for that. But oh my god, the thumbnail clickbait shit he did with the Blue Protocol news, dude, I fell for it all the time, man. And sometimes when he said some Blue Protocol shit that was related, it was either like the same thing, like, oh, it's still coming this way, people are excited, or this new hairstyle, it's pretty fucking cool. I'm over exaggerating on the last part, but yeah, he was, despite the clickbait, he was still a good source of information. So check him out.
For a global release. Now, if you don't know what Blue Protocol Star Resonance is, but maybe you know what Blue Protocol is, maybe you're confused on what that's about. Essentially, there was this anime MMORPG that was in development for a really long time called Blue Protocol. It was developed by Bandai Namco, and they were based out of Japan. So it was going to be a Japanese anime MMORPG. But
Dude, Genshin Impact came out, and I think, honestly, one of the reasons why I played Genshin Impact was mainly because of the anime RPG aspect of it. I feel like a lot of people who were waiting for Blue Protocol played Genshin Impact, and here they are now, still playing Genshin Impact. Well, I'm not, but I think a lot of people still are. But yeah, I think that's kind of the reason why a lot of players came to Genshin Impact too, was because of Blue Protocol and the anticipation of just wanting something like that game. Because it had promise, it had variety. Well, I guess. And it had just this weirdly cool social life aspect thing where you could grind and do RPG shit, the slice of life gameplay. It was amazing. The vision of it was amazing. I guess not the real game, but the vision was sick. I also remember it being announced to join Amazon Games, and that was like the doomsday of the game. It was like, no, why are you doing this? And we were like, the game's gonna be bad now. It's gonna be just focused on like marketing and shit. And I guess in a way, it kind of was though. There was a lot of like cosmetics in the game, I hear, but no real content. And that's such a familiar feeling because I play PSO2 NGS. And I have these phases where I come and go to PSO NGS because the gameplay, the action's fucking awesome. but the content and end game is like not there really. Fortunately, I haven't hit rock bottom of maxed out everything. I really haven't. I have a lot to do still, but I can see the wall in sight, you know? Because their main content now people wait for is the fucking fashion scratches because it makes money and it works, unfortunately. But you could still argue that a dev could be passionate about the game and release actual good gameplay because either way, you're going to kill the player base by only releasing this fashion content. And honestly, I think the reason why PS2 NGS is still here, mainly with like a dedicated fan base and player base, is because of base PSO2. And I'm one of those people. And because the action, there's a lot of potential. The action is it's amazing. It's actually really fucking cool. But yeah, the content is just not really there. It's like get limited quest to make new gear. But that's it. You spam that one quest over and over again, and then you have like the fashion scratches. And that's about it. But I don't know.
But somehow, some way, everything went horribly wrong. And the game released in Japan first after like 10 years of waiting. The game, if you Google it, it says the game was announced in 2022. That is not true.
2019,
Blue Protocol
2020.
was a game that maybe the release wasn't officially announced, but the game was in development way before then. And it is actually a large reason why so many content creators that played Genshin Impact ended up being a Genshin Impact creator.
Exactly.
What happened is this game was taking so long to come out. I think it had to have been announced in 2018 or earlier. I don't remember when. I just remember seeing an MMO Byte video.
So people, MMO Byte, I think that was his name. People call him Sticks or something, right? But yeah, I mean, dude, you hear that it's been taking this long, but apparently the release there was like no content. So what was really going on? That's what I want to know. Why was it so shit in the end? And obviously, yeah, Amazon Games has a role to play in that, but still, it's like what the fuck? But yeah.
Way back in the day when I was looking for a new MMO. And amongst all of the hype of this game, Blue Protocol, this game comes out of nowhere called Genshin Impact, something we had never before seen in the West. It's like a high quality gacha game. So
I remember,
all
man,
the Westerners.
I was in the bathroom on my toilet looking at the news, not like the news, but like looking at like social media news, and I see this video. I think it was like from MMO Byte, and I was like, oh, Genshin Impact, and I was like shitting too, right? And I was like, yo, this is so cool. Oh, I just took a shit. And yeah, I was excited to play the game because it had that same look Blue Protocol had, and it was like, it was promising. But Genshin Impact honestly isn't. I don't think it's that good. No, I just don't think it's that good now.
Who have never touched gachas before. I mean, there are some, right? But people like me who is like, I played casually Pokemon Masters EX.
Right.
I didn't even know what a gacha game was at that point, right? So Genshin Impact comes out and we're like, oh my God, it's an anime RPG. That's all I wanted. Because so many people wanted just an anime RPG to play and some people wanted an anime RPG to play. But Genshin Impact comes out and it fills that gap. And we're like, okay, I'll just play this into fuck.
Dude. So I've played a bunch of gacha games, but I've religiously played 3. I feel like that's how it really is. There's so many gacha games out, but you play like the main 3 that you love the most. I played SAOMD, Grand Cross, SDS. What was the third one? I remember there was a fucking third one. I think it was it Honkai Impact? I don't fucking remember. But there was a third one. Anyway, yeah, I did dailies like every fucking day. So I knew what I was getting to, right? But I think what people realize is that it's not an MMO. That was the difference. I knew what I was getting to, but I but I knew it wasn't an MMO. So the grind didn't work the way you think an MMO would, like an anime RPG would. You know, there is no real variety in the grind, I guess. You just do domains and shit, and that's all you really do. And you collect characters. But for me, I like the fact I can focus on only one character with multiple classes. It feels more unique and special to your own playstyle, and that's something that MMOs have. I don't like when an MMO has different classes for different characters, and you have to play a different character for that class. My God, I need to slow down. But yeah, I think for me, I like one character because it feels more unique, and I can have my own personality on that kind of shit. You know, I want some super dark fucking edgy ass knight, and I can have multiple classes for that one character to look fucking crazy. You know, hell, like Final Fantasy XVI. Was it XVI? No, I'm stupid. It was like something else. But you know the MMO. You had Dark Knight, but you also had like other classes that could like add to that fucking dark aesthetic, I think, right? You could either be like fucking Guts or some shit and do some pretty cool ass shit. I don't play the game, but I just see online. But yeah, that's why I'm not really the biggest fan of gacha games, is because like I'll play them, but I don't like the fact that I have to like get multiple people.
And some of us are like, okay, I'll just play this until Blue Protocol comes out. That was what I did. And then I heard it was going to be announced. And then I was like, oh my God, this is it. Finally, we're going to get to play. They release it in Japan only. And it's really absolutely dumb. Cooked. When you release a game to one region only, when the entire world's excited about it, you fuck the game. I don't know how many times we have to tell you this, old man.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. In this day and age, everyone will know about a game coming out. Not just one region, not just one country. If you release the footage online, the trailer online, the whole world is now going to know about it. It's not the old times where you only know a game is coming and, you know, it's like region locked and shit because, you know, you don't have access to like the global information. But now you do. Well, you could before, but like you even more so now. Everyone knows about it. So I feel like when they release it in JP only, that honestly kind of made me so frustrated because it was like, how could you really do that when you had a whole audience of people ready to play the game and support your game and give you like, you know, give you activity to play your game, and you just fucking region lock that shit. And what was even more dumb was that if you try to use a VPN to get into the game, they literally either banned your account off the game so you couldn't play through a VPN. You could still, but it was like a fucking like 50-50 chance you get banned or not, which is, you know, stupid. It's like even the JP players themselves were really pissed that they were doing that too, because they're like, we need more people in the game. Why are you doing this? I think it was because of Bandai Namco specifically doing that shit, and I don't know. It feels so like, you know, leave. But yeah, it's not something you should do anymore. It's really not.
Oh, like, how many times do we have to repeat this same old song and dance where we release a game earlier in another region when the entire world is excited for it? Yes. It was different back in the day because we didn't have as much globalization and social media showing us everything that was going on in all parts of the world, but now we do, right? So now the expectation is a global release, which Blue Protocol Star Resonance is doing. Now, before I tell you more about Star Resonance, because I've just been yapping about the history of Star Resonance and why this is such a big deal, you do need to know where Star Resonance came from. So essentially, Blue Protocol did end of service. That game is dead. The Japanese MMORPG is completely dead. The reason is because they released it in Japan first, and they didn't focus enough on the gameplay, and they focused too much on cosmetics, and it caused the gameplay to fall flat and players to be unhappy. That's the problem. Well, one company, I believe they're called Bokura, they bought the rights to Blue Protocol to make a mobile version of the game when Blue Protocol came out, and they were going to call it Blue Protocol Star Resonance. Now, when Blue Protocol EOS'd, I think they basically just got free reign to do like whatever they wanted with it. So they took the world of Blue Protocol, the art style of Blue Protocol, and like the combat and stuff, and they kind of overhauled a lot of the bad things about it. So like the combat is much better, the class design is much better, the character and world progression feels much better, and they did all of that.
Is that a motherfucking stamina bar next to the character right here? Oh my god, dude. I'll never not see this thing.
Then ported it over to a mobile device. So now we essentially have upgraded Blue Protocol. Now you might be wondering, well, Brax, I haven't heard of Bokura. What is that? How did they get the money for this? That doesn't make sense. Well, actually, it was Tencent. To my knowledge, Tencent is funding Bokura and the creation of Star Resonance. And then they realized once Blue Protocol EOS, how much hype there was for a global release, or like for other players that still wanted to play Blue Protocol. So now they announced the global release. So that's what this is. It's essentially Blue Protocol Premium Pro Max Ultra Plus Plus. It's like Blue Protocol, but they took out some of the bad systems, put in some better systems, and it's going to be available globally on PC and mobile. Now we have another platform too.
Okay.
I do hope we get a console release. They didn't say anything about it, but hopefully that can happen, because if you can port something to mobile, you can port something to console. Let's be
Genshin Impact port the fucking console. Yeah, I'm sure they can too.
Honest. So I was actually in the CN beta test of Blue Protocol Star Resonance, so I got to play it a fair bit.
Oh my god. In fact, they should do a console release, because that would boost their player count by so much, man. I think obviously COVID had a big part to play, because when Genshin released in console, it really helped a lot of players get into the game more. But I feel like people are just generally online a lot more now, so, you know, for good or worse, for better or worse, I mean. But still, that still means we can have a lot more player counts in this game if they release on console.
The problem for me is that, like, obviously I can't read any form of Chinese, so a lot of what I was doing was guessing based on my previous MMO experiences, and I did figure out a lot of systems, and it very much is an MMO at its core, although it does play a little differently from some of the MMOs that I'm used to.
Okay, thank God. Wait, was it me? What?
And I don't know if that's just like a studio decision or if that's like a regional thing, but either way.
So, I think he's talking about, like, the grind process. When it comes to, like, Japanese MMOs or, possibly, I mean, I don't think the China region really does MMOs that well. The Korean MMOs are crazy, though. Like, Eastern MMOs are crazy in the grind. If you played fucking PSO2 base, holy shit, that was crazy stuff. It took, like, honestly, it was so crazy, but to an unnecessary fault, honestly. You had to, like, redo this emergency quest so many times, and that emergency quest only appeared at specific times in a day. And granted, it was every day, but still, you couldn't just spam that shit. You had to, like, wait certain hours to play the actual emergency quest to get, like, the materials to make the weapon. And you had to do it, like, oh my god, like, fucking over 10 times, I think. It was fucking crazy. But yeah, they're grindy as hell. I think I'm hoping Blue Protocol Resonance is also super grindy, but for the right reasons, because there's variety, and I'm guessing that's what we're going for.
There is a lot of stuff to do in the game, which I think was the biggest problem that Blue Protocol initially had, was that there just wasn't enough actual content to play.
Right.
There are some concerns I have still, and I'll talk about those in a moment, but what you should know is that this game has a lot more to do at the moment than original Blue Protocol did, and I think that's a huge W. For example, you can go life skill, you can dungeon spam for gear score if you want to increase your gear score. You can just run dungeons infinitely. I know a lot of people were really worried about, myself included, about them putting like a stamina system in for dungeons where you can only run a certain amount of dungeons a day, but you can actually run dungeons.
Why would you put a stamina system in an MMO? That's my question. I haven't heard of that ever. Oh my god, is there going to be a stamina system in... I mean, there's one right now with the fucking running, but, like, is there one in the game right now? Like...
Infinitely. There is no stopping you from running one infinitely. You do get bonuses for the first 2 dungeons you run every day. That's your daily incentive to play, is that your first 2 dungeons give you bonus loot, but you can technically just run it over and over and over.
Oh yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
And there's also other classes, and you can get all of the classes on one character, which means that you can progress all of your classes on one character. If you've already maxed one out, that doesn't mean you have nothing to do on that character anymore.
Hell yes.
You can still max out other jobs or other classes, not jobs. And swap between them. There's world bosses, elite farming for materials. There's a challenge tower that has multiple
fuck yes,
floors.
dude.
There's 20
Wait, pause. What the fuck? I saw someone, like, going up and down or some shit. Like, it was like... I only saw them for 1 frame, though. It was, like, weird. Wait, what?
Other jobs or other classes, not...
Can I increase the quality of this shit? It's in HD, but it's, like...
Jobs. And swap between...
Yeah, what the fuck? Hold on. Wait.
Have nothing to do.
It's not that funny, I guess, but I'm laughing.
Other jobs or other classes.
Okay. Yeah, there's someone right here with the blue aura thing.
It's not job.
How did I catch that? What the fuck? I'm usually blind as hell, but apparently... Wait, what is he... What?
And swap between them. There's world bosses, elite farming for...
He's, like, jumping up and down like in Monster Hunter with the fucking bug staff. Yo, is that my main? Holy shit. Wait, that's really fucking cool. What the hell?
Materials. There's a
you see him for 1 frame and then he's gone, dude.
Challenge tower that has multiple floors. There's 20-man raids. There's plenty of guild content. There's fishing. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the fishing one seems like a pretty big deal because I feel like every single game there's fishing in, there's like a cult of fishermen who like sit there and fish all day.
That's good though. We need cult-like fan bases for specific things in MMOs because a big reason why people play MMOs in the first place is that social aspect. It's the community. It's the world. It's that world building. It's just the environment and it's just everything socially. So if you have a cult-like fan base for a specific thing that's not the main meat of the game, but something else, that's perfect. It really adds more life to the game itself and just adds a lot more variety. Dude, I might even be a fucking cult-like fisher in this fucking game because that would be amazing. You know, maybe there's like a cult-like fan base for like cooking or some shit or something else, but we need more of that. That's good. Yeah.
every day, and that's like what they do for the entire game. Like all the way from beginning to EOS, these guys are crazy. But I'm happy for them. You know, they found something that they enjoy doing, and go fish, man. You also have class role trials that you need to do to level up your classes. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things for you to sit down and actually do every single day. Now, there are downsides, because remember, I played the beta, and I got to experience firsthand what it felt like to have a stamina system in an MMO. The stamina system is not for dungeon.
Oh my god, there is a stamina system. Okay, I'll let him talk, sorry.
It is, however, for crafting and gathering. Now, for some people, that is a huge deal, and that's a deal breaker, and I totally get it.
I haven't heard of that
I'm not
before.
someone who's always spent a lot of time crafting and gathering, but it does feel like it has some pretty good applications in this game, mostly because by crafting and gathering, you can get things that you need to upgrade your gear, and it limits the amount of things that you can do per day. So essentially, the way it works is you have a cap of 2,000 stamina, and every single day at reset, you get 400 stamina. Every single thing you craft or gather takes 10 stamina, so you can craft or gather up to 40 things combined for your daily stamina. But since the game will launch with you capped at 2,000, so I would recommend, like, if you guys are starting out, probably just go grab a bunch of stuff so your stamina doesn't.
Yeah, I hate that shit, man. Why would you put a stamina system in an MMO? That doesn't make sense to me. Oh, dude, what the hell? Yeah, I hate that shit. I'm sorry, I hate that shit. I feel like I'm not even like the odd one out. I feel like that's the norm reaction to hearing there's a stamina system in an MMO. Is that like a China-based thing for games? Like there's a stamina system? Because every time there's a gacha game from China, there's like a stamina system. And I feel like, well, like gacha games like are the main games now in China as well. And there's just always a stamina system. But MMOs are different. You're supposed to be on the grind constantly, as you know, fucking loserish as that sounds. You're supposed to be like fucking doing constant shit all the time, the whole day, and just like doing as much as you can until you feel burnt out, you know. But that was the joy of it, though. That's like why we like it. Granted, he said it's not for dungeons, but for crafting and what's the word? Grabbing shit, I guess. I don't know. Collecting. But doesn't that kind of, because if you have a class that can use or a character that can use multiple classes, yeah, that seems like water and oil. I don't know why you would do that. I recommend you just get rid of that shit entirely, honestly.
Doesn't cap. There's also some different ways to get stamina. One of my biggest pieces of this is just the fact that you can buy the stamina. You can't buy too much of it. There's actually a really short limit of how much you can actually buy, but there's ways to get more stamina, and it involves using the cash shop. So I'm not a big fan of that. But if you do want a stamina max, you actually get different stamina on every character you have. So if you make 3 characters, each character is going to get 400. And if you're trading that on the market board, or if you're just trying to farm skills or whatever that may mean, you technically can get up to 1,200 stamina a day across your 3 characters. But yeah, that has been the biggest sort of upset I've had about the entire thing, is that gating, this is based on the beta, by the way, so this still could change, but gating your crafting and gathering behind stamina, I do think is not great. It's not the worst thing.
It's the fact that it's an MMO with a stamina system that puts a bad taste in my mouth.
The main content of an MMO is running content with your friends, and I feel like, you know, if I'm gonna go run dungeons, if I'm gonna run bosses, raids, and stuff like that, I'd rather not have those gated by stamina. That just takes away, like, so much of what the game is supposed to be. But either way, you still are gating some sort of side content, which I don't think is good. The other issue with Star Resonance is that it does have one of the same issues that Tower of Fantasy has. This does not matter if you start playing the game like a month in, but it matters for people playing at launch. They are time gating the main story quest. So essentially what that means is after you do the first quest, there's going to be a server, I believe it's server side. There's going to be a server time where the next quest unlocks. And that is another artificial mechanism to slow down progression to make...
I'm not really a story person. I don't really care for story. I always just skip that shit in games. But, well, if it's a gacha game, I skip that shit like immediately. Or an MMO, so I don't really care too much. It's not my concern.
Make sure people don't rush to endgame immediately. Now, as far as I can tell, none of this stuff actually exists outside of Chinese MMOs. I haven't played a ton of Korean MMOs. I wasn't there at Lost Ark launch, so I don't know if they did the same thing. But it is something...
Dude, one Korean MMO I was thinking about now that's like super fucking grindy. I think it's Lost Ark. That shit's crazy grindy, man. Or, yeah, to me, that shit was grindy as hell. But yeah.
Something that I find quite frustrating. I'm really hoping that they don't do that on release and that it was just a beta thing, but we will see. There is a possibility that you do the quest and then you have to go do side content for the rest of the day because the next quest doesn't unlock for 32 hours. So in my opinion, those are the two biggest downsides. I know some people don't like the graphics. I'm personally a fan. I think it looks like anime and very cartoonish, the way that the characters move. And I feel like that's kind of on brand for what the game is. I know some people don't like that.
Yeah, people... Honestly, I think a lot of, like, 99% of the player base saw the anime aesthetic, and that kind of is part of why they were hooked on Blue Protocol, because it was an anime art MMO, and that's, like, what people wanted for once. So I don't think, you know, if you hate the style, then that's, like, what are you doing here? But also, it's like, I don't know, I mean, I think the action's, like, good, the graphics are fine, I mean, yeah, it's all good. Weird hot take of mine. It's not really a hot take, it's just my opinion, but I don't really like the old zoom-ins. Like, they either have to be, like, super good or just not there at all. And the old zoom-ins are, like, okay-ish to me, but it's just an opinion. I don't really think it's, like, some fucking make or break deal with me. It's really not. But yeah, just something I want to say.
But that's... I mean, that's just my opinion. I think it's cool. But yeah, so this is a game that everyone's been waiting for a super long time. And I've been waiting for it for a super long time. Now, it's like Blue Protocol died, and then they harvested Blue Protocol's organs and put them into another vessel. And now that thing is alive. But,
right.
You know, it seems better and stronger than ever before. Blue Protocol Star Resonance, I'm very excited for it. And with the announcement of a global release, you can absolutely expect me to be full diving into that game when it comes out.
That ice skill is cool. I like that shit.
I've always been an MMO junkie. I have played so many MMOs throughout my life. I love investing all of my time into one game and being able to play that game with my friends for meaningful content. Am I still going to cover other games?
So, I'm a brand new content creator, and I want to make MMO content, but I don't exactly know how to go about it. Because one, if I just don't edit out, like, if I just post long content of me playing MMO, it might seem kind of boring. On stream, it's different, but, like, on a video, it just doesn't really feel like... It feels like I'm in a fucking library, you know? Or, like, the viewers, it'll feel that way. So maybe I just, like, heavily edit the video and make it more of, like, a story kind of oriented video where I do shit, one specific thing, and I make content out of that thing. I don't know, but I do want to make content out of Blue Protocol, so we'll see. I'll learn as I go. Also, one thing that really sparked my interest for RPG games was... It's not... I don't really know if it's, like, a super heavily RPG-based game. It's probably not. But games that with that fantasy, like, open world, like, super magical kind of experience, it was Final Fantasy XV. I'd played the past ones a little bit, but I've put so much time into XV, and it gave me this weird feeling of, like, dopamine when I got, like, this new weapon that I wanted this entire time. The strongest sword in XV is called the Balmung, and you have to go to, like, 20 floors down in this dungeon and fight this phoenix or some shit like that. It's been a while, I don't even remember. And I looked up how to do it, because I didn't know where to get a stronger sword, like the Balmung. I didn't know how to get it. So I looked it up, I was like, you have to go... I was like, sorry, let me fucking calm down, holy shit. I looked it up on YouTube, how to get the Balmung. And I watched this guy do it. It was like, you have to go down these floors in the dungeon, and the dungeon was like a maze. It was crazy, but when I got the weapon after the maze, like the enemies, the boss, and I was barely hanging on to life, and I had no fucking health potions left, but I killed the boss and got the weapon. The weapon, when a boss dies and an item drops, it doesn't show the weapon. It shows like this sparkly light on the ground, and it had like this purple rare aura to it, right? And I was like, that's my weapon. That's my baby right there. I picked it up, and when I saw Balmung acquired, dude, the fucking dopamine was insane. I was like excited, and it was like, I don't know, it was like a real adventure. And I had like, you had like Noctis's friends, Ignis, Gladio, Pronto, and they would like make the story build amazing, and their personalities were great. It was like you were really in the game, and it was awesome. It was awesome. And that's where my love for games like MMOs and RPGs like really became a thing. Because in MMOs, it's like this is I'm bro. I'm gonna sound really fucking corny and just like a cheese ball or some shit, bro. But it was like this other world and like your other life that you can put time into, and it was awesome. But people love that kind of aspect of games, that feelings of this other virtual world. Fucking Wizard 101. Fucking that Penguin game a long time ago with like the fucking snow houses, ice houses, or whatever. It got shut down a while ago, and people were really sad. I remember playing the game, but it's been like a shit long time ago. But it's that sense of like other life kind of thing that you put time into that really makes, you know, the game stick out to you. And being able to put so much time into a game like that, like an MMO, just it gives you that feeling, you know, and it feels comforting and great. But I could go on about that for hours, but I won't. So
time will tell. It depends how much time I have when Blue Protocol comes out, right? But I am absolutely going to be talking about that game a lot because I love MMORPGs. Finally, after what feels like centuries, we get to play an anime MMORPG that is not Aura Kingdom. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about Blue Protocol Star Resonance if you guys are going to be playing, and I will catch you guys in the next video.
Okay. Holy shit, dude. Holy shit. I can't wait. I'm gonna pre-register right now. I think it's on Steam, I think. Because the older version was, so I think it'll be on Steam still. I'm going to look at all the classes now, actually. I'm gonna do that and I'll post a video about it. Yep.